Who walks around up on the second floor? And who or what roams behind the bar after closing in our local VFW? Join us on the Paranormal Pool, where we try to answer these and other spooky questions.
East Valley.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Paranormal Pool. My name is Heather.
Hi there, my name is Michelle.
We are East Valley Paranormal, and today we're going to be talking about the hauntings at the VFW Post 1760 in Downtown Mesa.
We are indeed, but first, please, we would like to catch up. How are you doing, Heather? How have things been going?
It's been a while since we took a little break from the podcast, and we have been doing a lot of stuff. I actually subbed a tap class last night.
Oh.
And I just want to let everyone know, if you're used to doing a physical activity and all of a sudden you stop for a year and a half or so, and then you're like, you know what, let's do this for 3 hours straight. I highly recommend whatever physical activity that is not to do it for that long.
Please.
Like, maybe start out in increments, because like right now I'm like, dying. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
no, I'm okay.
Smaller doses.
Yeah, it definitely needed. It was not properly thought out well, actually, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and the kids were great that I taught. But it definitely hurts today. What have you been up to?
I bet I had to buy a new car.
Oh yeah,
I cracked the nugget on my old car. The lovely little blue car I had, and now she is gone. She's been called a paperweight, so now we don't think about her anymore. We have a new car. Her name is Lilith. She's black on black. She's sweet as pie, and just don't cross her.
Nice. Do you hear that, everybody? Don't do it.
Don't cross in front of Lilith.
Don't do it. So today we wanted to talk to you guys about VFW Post 1760. We were introduced to this post through the ghost tours. I mean, we knew it was there, but we had never heard stories about it or been inside it. And when we started doing our ghost tours in Downtown Mesa, we started talking to the people that ran it and got a little bit of information about this place, and it's pretty remarkable.
It is. Before we even showed up to the scene, they were experiencing shadow figures. They were hearing someone walking around up on the upper floors when no one at all was up there. They've had activity in the basement that has fired up upon occasion when some of the ladies are working by themselves. There's just a lot going on in the VFW on any given evening. And we started asking those stories to be shared, and the stories we heard, you guys.
Yeah, even the history of the building is incredibly interesting. We go into a little bit on the tour, but it has some amazing history.
It does. 1893 is when the Baptist Church first took over that location. And then they stayed there, built a structure at about 1898. And then they moved that structure. And then the other structure that was there was taken over by the VFW in 1948. So the church was there until 1928, actually. So they spent a good long time there.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing, just the structure of the building itself. It doesn't seem like it's that big until you start getting in there and start walking around. And I actually didn't even know it was that big. We kind of just go down into the basement on the ghost tour. I've never really ventured too much into the other floors, but a couple weeks ago we went in and did a full investigation from top to bottom, and I was surprised of how big that place is. There's rooms in there I didn't even realize were that big.
There's just so many different nooks and crannies, and part of the building was built later along the street side. So there's just many different stairways and access to different portions that are just kind of odd in that building.
Now, when we started prepping for the ghost tours and gathering the stories from the people that work there. We heard stories from the bartenders that the registers were opening and the money clips were falling down by themselves and sending them like right out the front door, completely terrified, and calling their boss on the way home going, I just left all the money on the bar. I didn't even count it at all. I just took off and left everything there. They told us about their names getting whispered in their ears as they were going up and down the stairs, or a hand pushing them up the stairs. The bartenders at the VF have a lot of really cool stories to share with us.
They do. Every one of them is unique and sort of terrifying when you hear it from their perspective, because most of the time they're there alone.
Yeah.
It's just one bartender who closes up shop and they're in that big empty building listening to all those creaks and steps.
Now, my favorite part of doing the ghost tour is Michelle brings the guests down and they go over the history of the building and they set up experiments and stuff. And I kind of just stay up on the upper level and the locals come out. And they've been having a good time in there. So they're very loose-lipped about things. And they'll walk up and like, let me tell you this story about this place. And they'll tell their paranormal stories of a woman that crosses behind them and goes into the bathroom and they see her in the mirror. When you're sitting at the bar, there's a kind of like a reflection. They keep saying that they see people pass behind them and when they turn around, nobody's there. And they just tell us great stories.
Is every single time we go, there's something new.
We finally were like, let's go ahead and investigate the whole building and let's just see. And honestly, you guys, every room we went in, we had activity.
Yeah, pretty much every room we've ever been in there.
Yeah.
Has had activity, and all ranging different kinds of activity. That particular night that we're talking about, we went up onto the top floor of the building, and I always call it the third floor. It's sort of because the basement is a half floor. I'm telling you, this building is put together very strangely. So I'm always calling it the third floor, but it's really technically the second floor. And they consistently see someone walking back and forth in front of a window, and we went up into that room, and there's really no way that someone could be walking back and forth in front of that window. There's no room for it, so it's definitely like a residual thing.
I mean, it's a tiny space.
It is.
And they keep it locked often because they just have stuff in there they don't really want people to be messing with. So they opened the door for us, and we were kind of surprised. We were like, oh, cool. And we went in there and we were surprised of how tiny it was.
Like a physical person is not going to be walking back and forth in front of the window at all.
I mean, if they are, they're literally taking like 2 steps, pivoting and turning, and taking another 2 steps and turning. There's not a lot of space in there. So we did set up the cat balls, the light experiments in there, and they did go off right in front of that window. So I mean, I don't know.
They did. In the room next to it, we had a thermal image hit that looks like someone's leaning out into the doorway and then pulls back and disappears. We're not really sure what that was, but we're going to do some more analysis on that. And that's just in the room right next to it, which was, by the way, where they were storing those old like historical uniforms. They had like a whole rack of really old uniform.
You know, when we first started doing the tours, we always thought the basement was going to be the most active place. And then as we started talking to like more of the patrons and like the bartenders, they were saying, no, the second floor, the top floor is where all the activity is. And then, we went on the top floor and we did, like Michelle said, we had thermal hits, the lights were going off. We didn't really capture too many EVPs up there or anything like that, but it was a lot going on up there.
It was active. Yeah, it felt active, but not any kind of low or high vibe or anything like that, just like a vibe.
It wasn't until we decided to go to the main floor. And, none of them, I mean, they talked about the main floor a couple times, but no one has really stressed how haunted the main floor was. And honestly, I feel like we got our best evidence on the main floor, like the most interesting evidence.
Yeah, the most interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting, you guys, and it happened so fast. We really weren't able to capture a lot of that evidence that we're talking about. It was very much an experience that you had to be there for.
Okay, in all honesty, we intended to record everything. I was going to live stream the whole time. It was like one of those things where it just started snowballing, and we're like, okay, we got the thermal hit, and the lights are going off in this room. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go down to the main floor. And then everything started popping off. And I never turned on the live, not once. Like, never live stream, didn't even think about recording anything because there was so much activity happening. I just forgot.
Yeah, I did too. We truly, there was a lot going on, and I went into an Estes Method, and the main camera had stopped recording at that point because we were recording the room. And from what I gather, because of course I was completely headphoned and blindfolded, it was a nutty interaction.
That was probably I mean, we've had some wild Estes Methods, sessions, but I feel like that was the craziest one, where there was just, I mean, it felt like Michelle was surrounded by 10 people.
It did. It did. I actually felt like physically like someone approaching me from different angles. And then the very interesting thing, and any of us have done Estes Method, you'll understand what I'm saying. Each and every sentence was articulate, but every other word was a different voice. So it was male, female, kid, another female, male again, but every word put together was a legit sentence that was distinctly talking to the situation.
It got really wild. And as we were setting up the Estes Method, David, he's the manager there, said, kind of like, we had the cat balls out, and he recommended us putting it in the ball return to the pool table. And I was like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, to me, that was just such a weird spot. And sure as hell, that thing lit up like the 4th of July on that pool table. And not only did that light up, we had REM pod activity on that pool table.
Mm-hmm. It actually drained the battery. We had replaced that battery. It literally pulled the life out of it right in front of us. It started going off, and then it just started petering out like a dead robot. We were like, what is happening?
Yeah, Michelle and I just sat around it and watched it go until it died. That was so crazy.
Yeah, and we just replaced batteries on the REM pods.
So all that's going on, we're recording everywhere, like on just recording, not video, which I should have been doing. I should have videoed that Estes Method. I would have loved for everyone to see that. I kick myself every day thinking about it. Like, why did I not just turn on my camera on my phone and start recording that? Instead, the Estes Method was so interactive. I can't even, it literally felt like
someone was having a legitimate conversation with you.
Yeah. So there's a point in the Estes Method where Michelle's like, I feel like I'm being surrounded by people. And I could tell she was getting nervous about it. And then she was like, at one point, I think she even said, I don't really feel comfortable. This isn't making me comfortable, or something like that.
I threw out my spell. I have a protection spell. That's why I remember.
Oh, yes, that's what it was.
I threw out my protection spell because it was a crowd. There was a crowd.
So she says that, and I'm immediately off the bar stool. And I jump down, and I take 2 steps towards her. And I had an EMF detector in my hand. And I take 2 steps, and Michelle obviously is under Estes. She can't hear or see me. And she goes, sit down. And I go, no. And she goes, sit down now. And I go, I'm not sitting down. And then she goes, someone tell her to sit down.
It was crazy because I remember as those sentences were coming over, because I was like, there were so many words. I'm like, someone tell her to sit down. I'm like, I'm sitting down. I had no idea. I had no idea Heather was up and across the room.
And at this point, like, I mean, I have the EMF detector like a foot over her head. I'm like, I'm in there I'm trying to figure it out. The bar manager and his wife and the other kind of manager was there. And their faces were just like, what in the hell is going on? Because they had never seen anything like that. And they were completely blown away. In fact, one of them, who was like kind of skeptical all night, he was literally freaked out about the Estes Method because everything was making sense. It wasn't like, sometimes you do the Estes Method and it's like,
you're reaching, like you got to reach for it, maybe, yeah.
Or I'm like, hey, what's your name? And then it's like, the sky at night is purple, and you're like, what?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
It doesn't articulate.
Yeah, it's kind of just lost in the shuffle. It really, honestly, everything she was saying, I mean, they would ask questions and she would answer and it would just correlate to what they were at. It was insane. It was the wildest Estes method. Did we record it? Sadly, no. And I am so sad thinking about how we did not record that.
I know. It would have been a really good capture too. But but that is the nature of paranormal investigation, and we really truly do it for the experience. Do we do it so we can capture it and share it with you? Absolutely, yes. We do that. But sometimes it just comes and you can't do anything about it.
No, I mean, and honestly, I think back about all the moments that we've captured or we've experienced some of our best experiences, we were not recording.
It's true. It's true. Some of the most crazy things that we've ever been through, where things have been literally tossed across the room, we were not recording.
And it really makes you wonder, do they know that we're recording?
I think on some level they do. I feel like it's a vibration that they can pick up or something, because they know. They always know.
It makes me want to get like hit those hidden cameras and then just like try to trick them.
Like a lapel camera.
Like they don't know. Like I'm like, doody. I'm not recording you or anything.
We're not recording.
What are you talking about?
Not us.
I'm offended.
Look over here. What's this hand doing?
I think that will probably go down in my books as one of the best ones we've done.
Yeah, that was great. That was really great. And having the experience was awesome.
We were on that main floor for quite a bit, and we even recorded behind the bar because they were having activity behind the bar as well of, they said, people walking back and forth. We didn't capture any EVPs, anything like that behind the bar area. But we did decide to go back downstairs in the basement and do some recordings down there. And we did capture some pretty interesting things. There was a lot of movement.
Yeah, I don't remember what the EVPs were, but the movement was, I do remember lots of movement, like someone actually reached out and moved the phone.
Yeah, you can hear there was like a podium downstairs, and I put the phone on top of the podium. Now, the phone I record on is very slippery. I'm not gonna lie, full stop. It does have a tendency to slide off of tables and stuff. But you guys, you know how podiums have a lip where you put your papers? I specifically put it there so it couldn't slide anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way that thing is going to slide sideways. And it can't slide up unless somebody's moving it.
Yeah.
And it can't fall down because it has the lip. So I don't know why that thing was moving, because it was balanced. It was nestled in that lip of the podium. So I don't know. And it even sounded at one point like somebody was like tapping on it or like tapping on the phone or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was really weird.
It was unusual that night. It's always a good time in the VFW 1760, even if you're not partying in the bar.
Yeah. Now we do take guests on the ghost tour down there often, and we even had a family go down, and it was a large, like, cousins and sisters and a mom, and we always tell everybody, hey, take your phones and record down there, take pictures down there, all kinds of stuff. They all go down there, and one of the younger girls goes, can I take my water bottle? We give everybody like a water bottle with a lanyard and shit. And I was like, yeah, of course. So she puts her water bottle around her neck. She takes off downstairs. Now, Michelle's like trying to give the history of the basement, which there's a lot of cool things going on down there. And this chick's water bottle is like crackling.
Oh, we were recording. That's what it was. We were recording it.
Yeah.
And it was like making all this racket.
And her cousins are like yelling at her. They're like, oh my gosh, you are so loud. And she's like, her hands are up in the air and she's like, I swear it's not me. And they're like, oh my gosh, seriously? And they're just giving her all kinds of hell.
A ration.
And meanwhile, while all this is going on, her mom is recording the whole thing. So, we go, we do our business, we come back upstairs, we finish the tour. Well, at the end, we always take everybody out for ice cream. And so we're sitting there and they're eating their ice cream and the mom is listening to her recording. And all of a sudden, she jumps up and she's calling for us to come listen because she's freaking out. And so she hits play And right before that chick's water bottle crackles, her mom captured an EVP that says, "I'm thirsty." And then you hear a water bottle go crackle, crackle. And that chick's like, "I'm so glad you did not play that while we were down there. I would have, she said, I would have come running right out of there." It's pretty wild down there.
It is. We have just all different levels of activity. Lately there's been, I would say, not a shadow figure because it's a light gray, so it reflects white when it passes out around down there, but there is like some sort of a light shadow figure on the one end that we never go in, right under the stairs. Like we never venture because that's like the workshop for the guys, so we don't go over there very much. But they've seen someone moving around over there. Everyone has. I've seen someone moving around over there behind the patrons when I'm talking to them.
Well, during the tour, we heard movement from that corner at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And
we hear it all the time.
And there was 5 of us down there, and all 5 of us turned our head as fast as we could. Like, we all heard it.
Yeah.
It was pretty wild. But that basement it's a doozy. Like, we bring our dead bell down there, and it goes off, and we shut the lights down there and they go off. We capture EVPs. Michelle has seen a full body apparition down in that basement.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, he caused me to hurt myself, actually. It's kind of a funny story. I always ask before I ascend the stairs, please, please do not chase me up the stairs. Because it's happened so many times that I get about to the 3rd stair from the top and you hear boom, 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 boom when they start coming. So I ask, please, please do not chase me up the stairs. And the last time I asked this question, I turned when I heard the steps starting and I started to say, I said no. And I really turned around and I figured I was just going to say, I said no. But it turned into, I said no. And I literally was so scared that I ran myself. I was in a half turned position and ran myself right into the door jamb. And I literally hurt my back because I saw him at the bottom of the stairs. And whether or not he saw me, he was looking very gleefully at the thought of reaching the top of the stairs for whatever purpose he was coming up. But he was coming up. And that was very scary. That was one of my last times ascending those stairs, actually. We leave that to someone else now.
Our guests that go down there get touched a lot. Ladies with long hair gets their hair touched. Men have been tapped on the shoulders before. Kids get patted on the head. And the biggest thing is that ladies get their legs touched. So if you're having like any kind of shorts on or like leggings or anything like that, ladies will get touched on the leg. And this has been going on for a year and a half, if not longer, a little bit longer. And people would always come up and go, my leg got touched. And then we were like, that's like the 3rd person that has said that this week, you know? And then the next group would come in the next week and some lady would be like, I just feel like someone touched my leg. And then we started seeing a pattern. And I have never had that happen at all. And it wasn't until this past like late spring, we were down there, or early summer maybe, we were down there and I was talking to Michelle, and sure enough, you feel like fingers like right on your back of your leg. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it's almost like somebody just lightly like running their fingers down your leg or around your ankle. And I think he prefers like this section of leg.
Yeah.
Because he likes the mid calf to the ankle area. That's like his bag.
Mine was like, like right the lower calf. Yeah. And it does feel really weird.
Or it feels like somebody's dragging a hair around. It's very deliberate feeling.
Yeah.
It's not a accidental feeling. It's like someone is deliberately messing with me feeling.
Yeah. And he does like to give Michelle a little bit of a hard time because Michelle is down there a lot more than I am. And, you know, he's always like touching her back.
It's true. Yeah. He likes to do that. I'll even be talking about how he likes to touch my back. And he always like very respectfully puts his hand on my mid back as though he's trying to help me along or like usher me somewhere. He's always very gentle about it. But one time I had an app on that was throughout sentences or words sometimes. And I was telling the story about him touching my back, and literally that app said across the room, "I'm touching your back." And I was like, that's not funny, Ed. That's not funny. You scared all these women in here.
It's really wild. I mean, I do think that there's residual haunting going on in the VFW. But I mean, obviously there's intelligent haunts going on. I mean, if they're telling us to sit down as we're standing up and they're touching people, they're chasing us up the stairs. I mean, they're kind of, pranksters, it almost seems like, but
Playful a little bit.
it is definitely a very active and fun place to investigate for sure.
It is. We'll be doing so again.
Yes.
So watch for an episode because we will be recording this time.
Yeah. Yes.
We promise.
We'll live stream a little bit on Instagram Live, so that way if you follow us you'll be able to watch it too. But definitely look out for that because it's definitely going to be happening. I'm excited to go back in. I'm excited to actually remember to record this time, hopefully.
I just hope we have the same like connection that happened the last time, right? Like the same level of connection that happened, because that was a very articulating conversation. Like it was just, even the way it came across audibly to me was very well, and they would have been very succinct and trained, because they were all servicemen and women.
Right.
So they would have had okay, everybody, here's the plan. You say every other word. I will say each third word. And Bob, you stand over her menacingly. Yeah.
It was a fun night. I'm definitely excited to go back. But definitely keep an eye out for that because there will be an episode most likely on that. And we definitely will have a live stream about it as well.
We will. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, if you're not familiar with the VFW, there's VFW posts all across the country. And they all have one thing in common at the VFW post. And I didn't know that at all until we started doing the ghost tours and getting educated on the building.
They do. They all have a missing man table, sometimes referred to as the fallen comrade table. And there's a little thing that goes with it. I would like to read for you guys. It describes all of the things on the table. Each item on the missing man table represents the emotions and feelings reserved for those who did not come home. The ceremony symbolizes that they are with us, here in spirit. All Americans should never forget the brave men and women who answered our nation's call to serve and fought for our freedom with honor. The symbolism of the missing man table. The table is round to show our everlasting concern for our missing men. The cloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call to serve. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the lives of these Americans and their loved ones and the friends who keep the faith while seeking answers. The red ribbon symbolizes our continued determination to account for our missing. A slice of lemon reminds us of their bitter fate, captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears of our missing and their families who long for answers after decades of uncertainty. The lighted candle reflects our hope for their return, alive or dead. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain us and those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glass is inverted, symbolizing their inability to share a toast. The chair is empty, the seat that remains unclaimed at the table.
It's truly a sight to see when you walk in and you see that table knowing what it is. And it does make you have like a moment's pause. You do kind of sit there and look at that table and be like, wow, that is pretty powerful. And to know that there's one in like every VF post across the country is, I mean, bittersweet.
Cared for, maintained, and served.
Yeah. But, check into your local VF. I mean, I don't know if all the VFs have an amazing website or it's just the one near us, but let me tell you.
Yeah, this one is amazing. Their information surpasses anything we've been able to dig up in any of our other sources.
Mm-hmm. It's a really great location. We're definitely excited to go back in. It is active as hell. And yeah, we can't wait to bring more stuff to you guys so you guys can actually see it and
Have that experience with
yeah, and
us.
have it for sure. Yeah. So if you're following us on Instagram, be looking out for that. We'll probably put up a little reminder of when we're going to be going live. If you're not following us on Instagram, what are you doing with your life? Get on
Right? What are you
Instagram.
guys doing? Get up, grab your phone, go to Instagram, search East Valley Paranormal. Do it.
And follow us.
Do it.
And then that way you'll get all the notifications when everything drops. Yeah, and then also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We just released a couple episodes this past month, including the Nile Theater, which is a 100-year-old theater in downtown Mesa, Terror Trader, which is a horror shop in Chandler, Arizona. There's a lot of spooky crap going on in Arizona, guys. I don't think people realize. I mean, I know people talk about the East Coast and all that stuff, but Arizona's got some wild places.
We do. Wild West, this is where it began.
Yeah. So definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out this episode that will be coming out, plus our episode on Jared's Coffee and Tea Gallery in downtown Mesa. It is in a historical home that we've actually investigated before the coffee shop even moved in, and knew that there was paranormal activity there. That place is insane.
It keeps giving. Yeah, we're working on that episode now, hopefully to be released very, very soon. Cross our fingers. And please keep an eye out for that, you guys.
Yeah. In the meantime, definitely, like we said, follow us, East Valley Paranormal, on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. You can check out our website at evpinvestigates.com. We're going to be at Gathering of the Ghouls, presented by Terror Trader, actually, which is an amazing horror convention that's happening August 24th through 25th in downtown Mesa at the Mesa Convention Center. We're one of the sponsors. We'll be there on Saturday. So if you're there, come say hi to us. We'll be wandering around causing mayhem. No, just kidding.
Maybe.
And then on Friday, September 13th in downtown Mesa, we will be at the Neighborhood Comedy Theater at their Main Street comedy show. We'll be telling stories, and they will be improvising those stories. Very funny. And that's a really funny crew, actually. And you can get tickets to that at nctphoenix.com. And yeah, definitely come, because we think that's going to be a fun time for sure.
It's going to be a blast.
Yeah. Well, I think that wraps it up today, you guys, for the pool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Glad you brought your sunscreen. Next time, bring some margaritas, though.
And some floaties.
Oh, floaties. We need floaties.
But definitely margaritas.
Margaritas and floaties. I think that's going to happen for the next paranormal pool.
Our merch shirt should just be, we should just have a ghost with a margarita and floaties.
Yes, I think
and
that's
a pool.
a very good idea. I like it.
All right, guys. You guys have an awesome, awesome week, and we will talk to you soon.
Absolutely. You guys creep it real, and stay safe out there.
Bye.
Bye.